Hello, friend. The 579th day of the war between Russia and Ukraine continues. The armed forces of Ukraine, judging by many sources, had some progress on the Zaporizhia front. Firstly, in the Verbovo area, as reported by the General Staff. There, Ukrainian units displace the enemy from their positions and consolidate on the achieved lines. Let me remind you that earlier the commander of the Tavria group Tarnavsky spoke about the breakthrough of the Russian defense line near Verbovo. We have a breakthrough on the left flank near Verbovo, and we continue to advance further, he told CNN. At the same time, the Ukrainian military telegram channel Deep State wrote the heavy oncoming battles continued near Verbovo. The Russians brought significant reserves into the battle, and information about breaking through the line in just information speculation. The enemy has a layered defense that does not end behind the last trench. At the same time, Deep State adds that the Russians are actively counter-attacking. Military telegram channels note that fighting has been going on for several weeks on the western approaches to Verbovo without much dynamics. In turn, Russian telegram channels write about this that the Ukrainian armed forces managed to closer to Verbovo as well and improve their position on the flank in the Novo area. According to the Russians, Ukraine has deployed reserves in this direction using equipment. Friends, today has been a lot of hard work for me. My robot friend will continue from here.
South of Robotyne, the Ukrainian armed forces are also making progress, estimates of which, however, vary. Build military analyst Julian Repke said that Ukrainian forces had entered the village of Novo Prokopifka. He cites Russian video footage that, according to Repke, shows infantry fighting taking place inside the village. The Ukrainian armed forces suffer losses in them. Unfortunately, the video I used for geolocation shows a flank attack by Russia and the loss of 2 Ukrainian soldiers. At the same time, Russian telegram channels claim that this battle took place near Novo Prokopifka and not in the village itself. But they admit that Ukrainian armed forces are already near the outskirts of the village. At the same time, a further offensive in the Novo Prokopifka area will be hampered by the threat of a Russian counterattack from the flanks. The further Ukrainian forces advance here, the greater the threat to the communications of the advancing units. That's why the Ukrainian army is trying to take Verbovo in order to expand the breakthrough zone. There are heavy battles there. In the Bachmann sector, the Russians are counterattacking in the Klishchiivka area in order to restore the lost position, the General Staff said today. The Ukrainian armed forces continue assault operations south of Bachmann. Ukrainian and Russian telegram channels previously wrote that the Russian army was pushed back from Klishchiivka to the railway track. By the way, representatives of the Wagner PMC may return to Bachmann. There is more and more information that Wagner is returning to the war in Ukraine. This was recently reported in telegram channels close to the former PMC, as well as from individual Russian military officers. And in a Friday interview with CNN, this was essentially confirmed by the commander of the Tavria group, Alexander Tarnavsky, who is responsible for the Zaporizhia direction. According to him, they are popping up on several fronts. Their chevrons appear here and there all the time, said the Ukrainian general. At the same time, Tarnavsky clarified that there is no such unit in my sector of the front today, but I cannot say about the Kherson direction. Let me remind you that earlier telegram channels wrote about the arrival of the Wagner PMC on the eastern coast of the Kherson region. At the same time, telegram channels that were associated with Prigozhin write that, in addition to the south of Ukraine, former PMC mercenaries may appear near Bachmann. According to them, at the recently empty Wagner base, the formation of a detachment from among those who did not support Prigozhin's rebellion has been completed. It is assumed that this group will enter the southern flank near Bachmann, where heavy fighting is taking place near Klishchiivka and Andriivka. Meanwhile, the Ukrainian military telegram channel Deep State sums up the results of the summer offensive of the Ukrainian armed forces. In the Bachmann area, the encirclement of the city itself has not yet been achieved. The liberation of Andriivka and Klishchiivka in the south provides opportunities for a further attack towards the route to Gorliivka. In the north, a strategic mistake was made. The assault on Berkivka and a targeted lowland cost us dearly, and the initiative passed to Russia. Attempts to break through the Russian defenses at Zalizniansky and Rozdalovka were unsuccessful. It was possible to cut off the Vremivka ledge, but it was not possible to advance further. In the first month, there were significant losses of equipment. The network contained footage of shot-down columns of our brigades that were supposed to break through the defenses, analysts write. In their opinion, the tragedy of the 37th Separate Marine Brigade near Novodonetsky also had a negative impact on the situation. Probably we are talking about an unsuccessful assault on the village in early June, after which the brigade fighters recorded an appeal criticizing the command. Due to the mistakes of June 5th to 7th, all offensive actions here were of an extremely difficult nature. Other brigades had to suffer losses, because from Kermenchik, where there are heights that the Russian army turned into a fortified area, the Russian tank fist spoiled all plans in this direction. In the Melitopol sector near Robotine, the operation, instead of several days, lasted for 3 months, since Russia had strengthened its positions here in advance. Images of damaged Western equipment led to the emergence of fear in the ranks of the Ukrainian armed forces. Only in mid-August did the Russians begin to retreat and bring in reserves. Often, after deep breakthroughs, the Ukrainian army had to roll back due to lack of success on the flanks. It was not possible to achieve strategic success, but there are still prospects in the Robotine region. But there is little time left for this. New lines of defense are already being built by the Russians. The summer demonstrated that the war will not end on our terms in 2024. We need to prepare for new challenges that we will soon have to face, summarize Deep State analysts. Meanwhile, the Ukrainian armed forces today announced that the commander of the Russian Black Sea Fleet was killed in a strike on the headquarters on September 22 in Sevastopol. The name is not indicated, but it is known that the fleet commander is Admiral Viktor Sokolov. Russia did not confirm his death. According to the Ukrainian Special Operations Forces, a total of 34 officers were killed and 105 were injured. The headquarters building cannot be restored. Also, the Ukrainian armed forces say that irreparable losses as a result of the September 13 strike on the large landing ship Minsk amounted to 62 people, as the crew was on board and preparing to go on combat duty. At the same time, news appeared on Russian telegram channels today that the damage to the Rostov-on-Don submarine, which was located next to the Minsk landing ship during the missile attack on September 13, was not critical and the boat will be restored. The submarine has minor damage that did not affect its robust hull. Eliminating them can only slightly increase the time the submarine is undergoing scheduled repairs, a source in the Russian defense industry said. You see the nature of the damage in the photo, and how do you think they will be able to restore it? Friends, considering what is happening in my country, this channel is now my only source of income. If you are able to support me financially, I will be very grateful. Thank you very much and see you in the next video.